What happened to 2025? Oh, man.
2025 review.
Why for Bust? Episode 15, the last episode of the year, which is wild. I'm Chris Bates. This is Joel Cochran. We are here to give you everything that you need to know about the modern dating experience while you are on your way to find that right man or woman. I am the author of this lovely book called The Dating Edge. I just came out with it. It's been a few years in the making. We are on our way to being one of the best self-published dating books on Amazon. Joel has been courageous enough to be a case study for this. So if you're new here, go back and watch the previous episodes. In fact, the last two episodes have been particularly interesting because 2 episodes ago, Joel kind of swore off Hinge. And then last episode, we found out there were a few loops open, both in real life and on Hinge, the dating apps. So today, not only are we going to get an update on those things as 2025 comes to an end, but we're also going to get a peek into whatever Joel has in mind for 2026. Shameless plug. Not only did I write that book, but I love to help men find the right woman, which is exactly what we're doing with Joel. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, I have a ton of other videos on YouTube. Reach out to me personally. Also, Joel, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I'm not always really good at the beginning of the episode of doing that. And you are so self-aware, and you're being very courageous with sharing things with people. And not everyone knows why that is. So give us a little piece of why that is before we jump into it.
Oh yeah, man. I'd love to be able to talk about it. I own a company. It's a mental wellness program. We help people specifically in the gym space. So CrossFit affiliate owners, boutique owners, and anyone else who's willing to step into this space, but being able to help them strengthen their mindsets. And so it's a 12-week program that we take through, and I've been doing it over a decade, and I've spent a lot of money, and I've cultivated this company that has really made an impact around the world. So it's a really cool business. I have an amazing team, and it's one of the reasons I'm doing this with you, because this for sure has stretched me, and there's more stretching to come.
And that's just how you know that this process, although it's not easy, it's very much worth it.
Yeah.
And that's why Joel has the courage, honestly, because he's got this self-awareness, this experience to push through. So without further ado, last time we had a Hinge date that was maybe a day or two after we recorded, and that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then we had this, I hate the word situationship, but it's kind of what it is. There's some ambiguity in this in real life opportunity with someone you've known for a while. And then there's also another opportunity I don't really know anything about, but you told me before we started recording. So let's just hit all three of those. Tell us about the Hinge date. How did that go?
Yeah, so we left off with having a date that was set right before Thanksgiving. And then also, that was the Hinge date. And then there was also the in real life date that I had, that somebody I've known for the last year, and one of the first people I've met here in Austin. And we've just cultivated and gotten closer and closer and closer, and really investigating this, as we would say, situationship. And really, truly, mostly interested in her. And we haven't had that point of like, hey, sit down, talk, what's really going on here? And that was really the idea of this before leaving for Thanksgiving. Was I was going to have a date with her on Friday night before the week of Thanksgiving. And then the Tuesday before I left to go to San Francisco to see my family, I was going to have this other date. And my thought process was, hey, I'm going to sit down with this IRL and, tell her exactly where I'm at and what I've noticed in our progression, and be able to see, hey, are you feeling those same things? Or is this just a story I'm telling myself?
And what's the why? I mean, I know we talked about it before, but just to summarize, what's the why behind the why with having that conversation? I know you just told us like the objective, but what's the layer deeper strategically and maybe from a capacity standpoint?
Well, strategically for me was if that conversation was like, yeah, I am, and I do want to see where this goes, I would have canceled the date on Tuesday, right? So just strategically, I'm not going to stretch myself, and I personally don't want to be like, hey, I want to invest more into you, and also have my cake over here and keep my
Yeah.
options open. No, if we're both on the same page that we want to progress in the same direction, well, let's progress forward. That's not saying that we have to get married tomorrow or start dating, be boyfriend, girlfriend exclusive, but we're saying, hey, we're both going to head in the same direction.
Yeah.
And if we're mutually agreeing that, we can still part ways as we head in the same direction, but let's go down that path together.
That's so wise because people split themselves in too many directions. And then the result of that is burnout. You don't have clarity, grass is greener fallacy, and there's no expectation. You're not fighting the same front with the right person to pressure test, as you like to say, a relationship.
That's right.
So what happened? Did you get that clarity?
So we had the date set. I was really excited about it, and I used a technique from the book, or from at least from what you've explained to me, which is like the day of the date, send out a text message to remind them, like, hey, looking forward to the date later today. Just a reminder. Here's the address, or whatever the case is. And so I specifically thought of that technique. Even though she was the one that had the invitation to her house.
Yeah.
So I just sent it out and said, hey, really looking forward to seeing you later tonight. If there's anything you need me to grab at the grocery store, let me know.
What a good guy. And that does so many things beyond just like making sure the date is still on. You're creating excitement. Women love anticipation. You're saying you're excited about it. And that's there. It just covers so many bases and it's so simple. So what did she say to that?
So about an hour or 2 hours later, she went, don't hate me. And I was like, oh, here we
Typically
go.
people say that before you want to hate them. I mean, hate's a strong word, but yeah.
It's like,
please don't do what I expect you to do.
Yeah, that's right. And she was like, that somebody needed help covering a shift, and I told them I'd take it. But like I still could get back to my house at like 8:30, and we could, like, there's a few things I could just pop into the oven, and maybe we could pick up a pizza. I'm like, well, we were supposed to be meeting up at 6. 8:30 is going to be real late. Now I'm picking up the pizza where she was the one that offered, like, oh, I'm going to cook for you. And the reason this is really frustrating is because this has happened a couple times before, where there's been some, hey, plans made, plans broken. Mm-hmm. And so some people might be listening like, oh, Joel, why don't you just go over there at 8:30? Is because this has happened multiple times.
And we talk about in a ton of episodes, like, don't be presumptuous, give people grace. But then that's good one time, maybe two.
That's right.
But when it becomes a pattern and it's more about the boy or girl who cried wolf, then you got to start saying, okay, are they serious about this? Is this a breaking a non-negotiable for me, which is someone who's going to be able to follow through on what they say?
Yeah,
so I totally understand your frustration with that, as I think most people would.
Yeah. And so, I told her, hey, that's not going to work for me. And something that I've been working on for a very long time, and I know that we've talked about this, is I have no problem being open. The thing that I've been working on over the last few years is being able to express my emotion. And so,
because those aren't the same.
They're not the same, right? You can tell the story, that's being open, but being vulnerable is expressing your emotion about the story. And so here was the story, and I didn't say, hey, that's okay, like, all good. I said, hey, you know what, I'm feeling really disappointed and sad, because I was really looking forward to this. And it seems that this has happened multiple times now, and I'm starting to lose trust in our plans. And I made sure I said in our plans.
As opposed to in her.
Exactly.
What a guy.
And I made sure also to say, I want you to know that I'm not mad at you. I'm frustrated with the situation. So I'm disappointed and frustrated in the situation. And she responded really well, and said, like, it's the last thing I want to do is be able to create that. I want to be a reliable person, and I can understand where you're coming from. And so she acknowledged my emotions and so on. So there was a really beautiful kind of back and forth communication that ended up happening there. And then it went dark. And really didn't hear from her. So
For how long?
A couple days.
And that's atypical for you.
It has been a typical pattern, for her.
Oh, it has been atypical, not a like a...
Yeah,
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I ended up reaching out, wishing her, happy Thanksgiving. And so we talked a little bit there. And then I FaceTimed her a day or two later. And, she was happy and said, "Oh, I'm really happy that you FaceTimed me. I thought you were just like super upset with me." And she can go into a pattern of shame at that. I wasn't a reliable person. And so she retracts. She goes and hides and pulls back. And so I was just being able to come back and like re-engage and be able to go, "Hey, I know that you're most likely feeling this way, so I'm going to re-engage without chasing, without being like, oh, why haven't I heard from you?" Just quick little follow-up, quick check-in, pulse check. Hey, how are you doing? So on and so forth. And so that's been the situation at this point. We had another
Put the situation in situationship.
We ended up having another conversation that was really, beneficial on the phone. And I said, really talk to her about like, hey, how do you usually resolve conflict? Is this a way that is comfortable for you in terms of resolving conflict, is being able to talk about this? I just want to be clear. Like I do want to see you and I do want to hang out with you, and being able to create that clear expectation is really important, because it's like, hey, there's no soft here. Like here I am, I'm invested, which is putting me out on the line, but it's also making it very clear of, okay, which direction I'm going this direction. So are you going to go this direction with me? Yes or no? And again, it was a good conversation. She did admit like, hey, having these type of conversations, it literally makes me want to curl up and hide away, with like her exact words. And it's like, gosh, like I get that. As somebody who works with people with trauma and so on and so forth, these are triggers that pop up, and it's just really like overwhelming when these kind of scenarios are reminding us of these different situations in our past that can get really scary and they can really retract.
But at the same time, you can't avoid it, because it's a disservice to her and to you.
100%.
And so there's this like juxtaposition of, well, I don't want everything about possibly dating or exploring a relationship with this person to be serious or an interview or qualifying or disqualifying.
Right.
But at the same time, if you don't have some sort of conversation about being explicit or expectations, then it just, you kick the can down the road. And ambiguity is the thing that wears people down more than anything. So it seems like what you're trying to do is not only gain clarity, but also understand. You're seeking the curiosity aspect of, hey, where are you at? What do you want? We can make a decision. I can lead the way.
Right.
But you can't. That's what a lot of women, I think, forget about sometimes when they're asking for men to lead or be a man about it. Men make decisions based off of evidence. If there's no raw material, if there's no evidence, you can't lead.
Right.
You can't. You can't. Sure, you can shoot from the hip in certain things, but most men, when they care, want to make a informed decision. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So it makes sense. In order to make an informed decision, you have to have the information.
Yes.
And that seems what you're looking for. So is that where you guys are at right now? Like ultimately, if you boil it down, are you just waiting for information?
Well, 100%. Like my biggest thing is like, hey, let's meet up so that we can have this conversation. And so I extended a invitation yesterday of saying like, hey, what are you doing on Friday? Let's meet up, dinner at your house, hang out, keep it really casual. And she was like, I have this event for work, I can't do it. And then it was crickets. So it wasn't like, I have this event, but what about Saturday? What about Sunday?
Or another time, and giving you a chance to throw out some dates or whatever. Yeah.
So then I just came back and I said, okay, totally understand. That's going to be a great event for you. Is there another time this weekend that we could get together? No response. So that's been, a day and a half now at this point. And so this is that extended, like, oh, there's this like decision I have to make, the retraction, the pullback, like, well, what am I supposed to do? And for me, I then start getting, triggered for myself, because I've been in relationships in the past where I was trying to seek clarity and they were being too soft, and I allowed myself to stay in it longer than I should have. And so now this is like pulling up this like insecurity of like, oh no. And then I'll get frustrated and I'll get angry. I'm like, no, I'm like an incredible catch. And if you're not going to give me the time, like later, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this bounce back and forth of like being really angry and want to be like, mad at her, of like, deal with your shit and so on and so forth. And then there's other part of like, I get it and I understand.
Yeah.
And all I'm looking for here is this clarity of being able to basically close the loop or proceed in the same direction.
Yeah.
And that's where I am now at is, all right, she hasn't communicated with me. I have received no information from her. And it's at a point of, do I just FaceTime her? Do I just call her? And be able to go, hey, listen, there's some things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And let's clear this out so that both of us can move forward.
Yeah. And you got to wrap that up before 2025 is over. Not that you need to base your decisions off of the end of the year, but it's just one of those things that's been going on long enough. Like going into the new year, it would feel good to close that loop. Plus, it begs the question for anyone listening, well, how long is too long to give something a chance or a try? And as you've mentioned before, closing the loop is never a fun conversation. So it makes sense that you and anybody, and I had this problem a lot too, to initiate that is really, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. But if you've already multiple times tried to seek clarity, I think you can rest assured that you've done your due diligence.
Yeah.
And now you just got to close something off. And sometimes that's all people need to hear in order to give you the information to make an informed decision. Because, and I'm not trying to blame her or anyone else that's
totally,
like this.
Totally.
But if you're like, hey, I get it, but also here's my stopping point. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, actually, I don't want to lose this opportunity. I'll come forward now.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make them a coward or weaker anyway. But sometimes that pressure is enough to bring out the truth. And then it can still go well. Or it's just indicative that, hey, the timing's off. We can't force this.
Yeah.
So then that remains to be seen. What about the Hinge date that you had?
Yeah.
What did you decide to do about that?
So, since I didn't get any closure on Friday, I was like, okay, I'll in on this. I'll see this girl on Tuesday. And so I'm like, all right, great. Looking forward to seeing her on Tuesday. Monday night, get a message. Hey, I just want to be transparent. I decided to make a exclusive decision about somebody who I was dating this past weekend. And so I hope I didn't waste any of your time, but thanks.
Whoa.
And so I was like, okay, fair enough. And so I said, hey, totally get it. Total blessings on your new relationship. I hope it goes really well. And so here I was of like excited of like, all right, I got this in real life. I got this other Hinge date. And then like 2 days, both of them shut down. I'm like rolling into Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay, this is like what we talked about. I was like, man, the holidays, closing these kind of things down. And it was, I wouldn't say that I wasn't upset about this Hinge date. It's like we had talked a couple different times.
It's a bit of a bummer.
It's
right?
It was a bummer because there was definitely things we were aligned on, and I was really curious on like getting together. And we had missed a couple opportunities in the beginning of talking.
Yeah.
Where the time didn't line up, and I could feel that she was pressuring a little bit of like let's meet up, and now I understand why. She had different, people that she was dating and being like, well, you seem really cool and I want to be able to check my options. Yet kudos for her for going like, hey, no, I'm going to exclusively make this.
I love that you said that. And I think you responded so appropriately because a lot of people might be put off by that. But the irony is that both of these options seem like they're closing down, but one has been dragging on for so long that it's almost disrespectful to your attention and resources.
Yeah.
And the other, she told you straight up before you met. And that's ideal. So when sometimes people are like, oh, why would you close the loop? Isn't it obvious? And yeah, there's some times where things fizzle and it's organic. I'll give people that. But the majority of the time, just saying, hey, I'm investing in this other opportunity because it feels right and I want to respect that. Mm-hmm. That is one of the kindest things you can do in the dating world.
I agree.
And then people don't have these situationships. You don't keep people guessing.
I agree.
And so yes, it can be a bummer. Those aren't mutually exclusive ideas.
Right.
So it's really good of her to be kind to you in that way and loving, dare I use that word, because that's as loving as you can be to a stranger, saying, hey, this is the situation.
Yeah.
It's not good of me to go through with this date, even though I know you might be bummed about it.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that she did that and because you deserve that.
Yep.
And the irony that Yeah, one was like a really good thing and one was a really bad thing, even though they have similar outcomes. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Right. Well, you know, you have the saying like, clarity is kindness.
Yep.
Right. And that's how I see it into the dating world. Hey, I'm going to be very clear with you. I'm going to be very intentional with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the same with it in real life of just being, hey, I'm feeling frustrated and disappointed. I'm going to be straight up with you. I want you to be very clear. Like, this is my intention. This is where like, yes, I wanted to see you. Yes, I was looking forward to this. Like, what are you feeling? What are you going to express me? And at this point, that hasn't happened. And that's, again, where I'm at this point of like, hey, we're either closing the loop or we're moving in the same direction. Which one do you want to do? And that's brought up a lot of frustration to it for me as of late. And I'm just like, gosh, like waking up in the middle of the night, like thinking about it. And I'm like, and this is the exact point of like closing a loop gives you the ability to go, okay, I can start the acceptance process of being able to go, what a bummer. And I can accept it and I can close the loop in my own head and I can move on.
It's essentially unfair taxation on your mental capacity and your attention.
Yeah.
And people talk about time, money being, none of those are as finite as attention.
Right.
And so I think that's where people don't realize that an open loop is the ultimate form of taxation on your most valuable and finite resource.
I couldn't say it better, brother.
Yeah, we're gonna Paul Revere this whole dating world.
This is so
the British
good,
are coming,
dude.
unfair tax, tea parties, Boston Tea Party, whatever. And the timing is also not in your favor. I did a YouTube video on why the holidays is the worst season to date in the modern world.
Right.
And it's partially because of this. It's not people getting into relationships, but there's just so much going on. People are juggling a lot seasonally between travel and family. Money might be tighter for a lot of people, or there's big end of the year decisions. Also, it's not natural to be high energy and your best self going into winter, right? We're more of like the hunker down and slow down and rest and rejuvenate. The sun's not out as much. All these things kind of go against you. And I'm not saying people can't have success, but just from a probability standpoint, less of a probability that you're going to meet someone at their best or that the timing is right or they're not juggling a lot of things. And so it is a great time to back off, maybe take a break so you come back rejuvenated in January or spring or whatever, because everybody gets dating burnout at some point. And it's also a good time to revamp, your Hinge or where are you visiting these people. It's a good moment to step back and reflect.
Yeah.
But before you're able to do that, you have one other new opportunity, right? Is that, as far as we know, going into 2026, is that the only other opportunity, door, open loop, or anything like that?
Yeah, there's been a friend of a friend who has come to Austin to support her in her birth and is here for the next 2 weeks. And we had chatted a little bit. She's from Oregon. And so she's in, and we've talked back and forth about just our dating experiences and been very, very open with each other. And she and I have talked about going dancing and going swing dancing or two-stepping. And now with where the situationship is, again, I'm at that point of like, hey, if we're going in the same direction, then the answer to this girl would be no. If we're not going in the same direction and I close the loop, then of course the answer to this girl is going to be a complete like open yes. And I'm being transparent, and I've already told her about this girl because she asked
really?
hey, how's dating going? Do you have any potential, like any potentials right now? And I told her, I was just like, well, this is the girl, and the communication has been really off, and it's been bumming me out, so on and so forth. And again, great communication with one another, being very transparent. And I believe that's the best way to start off any relationship, is being radically transparent and not being afraid that you may lose it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But if you do lose it from the very beginning, because you're being radically transparent and your most authentic self, man, did you save yourself a ton of time by being able to go like, nope, like this is what I want. This is the direction I'm going. Yes or no? No, great. Close the loop, move on.
And you're fostering trust from the get-go. So by sharing the truth, even though it feels like you're putting yourself at risk, a woman who's worth your time will automatically trust you. And unless you do something to break that trust, which is pretty much gone forever, or at least very difficult to bring back, then you're you are starting on the right foot. And if they're able to reciprocate that trust, then it's like, you guys know no matter how it goes, you're going to keep each other up to date, which again, back to the clarity, is kindness is the most respectful thing to do.
Right.
So wait, you haven't gone on this date.
No.
That might be when? This weekend?
This weekend. I mean, it could
It's
be
like tomorrow or the day
It could be
after.
tomorrow night. You know, again, I'm sitting here waiting for a text message back from this other woman
Yeah.
of being like, okay, well, can you do Saturday? Can you do Sunday? Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to. Okay, I'm going to book for, go swing dancing on a Saturday, and then she was like, yeah, let's hang out Saturday. And so again, this is one of those frustrations I'm having. I'm trying to be patient, but this is like exactly what you're talking about. Like the uncertainty is wearing me down, where I'm just like, listen, I think you're great. I think we have a ton of potential. We've obviously known each other for a while. You've met her. Corey's met her. Like my friends are like, oh, she's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're either going in a direction, we're closing the loop, and I'm just getting really fatigued with it. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next episode, what ended up unraveling with this, and did the conversation happen? How'd the conversation go? Did I go on its date? We'll find out.
Yeah. So you haven't made your mind up of whether or not you're going to go swing dancing this weekend.
No, we haven't set a time.
Would it be in terms of what your desires are and how you want to go about this, would it be counterproductive to schedule the swing dancing anyway? And if your in real life long-term situationship becomes available, it's like tough luck, tough shit, because I have plans this time around.
Sure.
And I don't say that to be spiteful, but just if someone who's not normally here is here and there's an opportunity to see if there's a connection,
Right.
why not prioritize that? Because if your in real life situationship is something that is going to work out in the long run, wouldn't it work anyway?
Yeah.
I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I would say for me, it's like I want to close that loop. I don't want to keep it open. So it's like if she texts me back right now and is like, yeah, I can jump on the phone, I would be the person that'd be like, cool, let's jump on the phone right now. We're on
let's
Wi-Fi
figure
bus,
this out.
right?
Yeah.
We're going to FaceTime you and we're going to go do this live, right?
Yeah. And then when she said that, you turn her to me.
Wait a second.
I give her my.
Yeah, totally. And so that for me, I want to close that loop because it's sucking a resource and energy for me, where I totally get that side, and it's not that I'm like, if this is a really good opportunity, and I feel if there was a deeper connection just from our conversation with this current girl from Oregon, that would be like, yeah, 100%, let's go. And we really haven't like jumped on the phone. We haven't, it's just been back and forth text message. So there really could be a possibility that we get together and like, oh wow, like this is great. We had a lot of fun together. I just don't like having multiple channels open.
Yeah.
That's the same idea of like Hinge and being like, turn it on, now turn it off, and just work with these channels.
Yeah.
I find myself overstimulated and my resources going constantly out, which other men can. They can have multiple conversations and so on and so forth. But for me, it's too exhausting for me.
Well, they can, but it comes at a cost. So yes, you could argue it's preference, but I actually don't think it's, this is one of the things where I have a very unpopular opinion and a lot of people give me pushback on. In fact, that's why it's one of the 13 principles in the book is one at a time, is see one opportunity through for the exact reasons you're saying. And because believe it or not, you can cover the same amount of opportunities in the same amount of time. You're actually more efficient at exploring, closing the loop, exploring, choosing to take a risk, going back to the drawing board. Then if you have 7 options open and you're juggling these, they fall to the wayside, you might miss the opportunity you want. And believe it or not, over the same period of time, you'll cover the same amount of opportunities. Right. You're just sacrificing clarity.
Yeah.
And so I respect that a lot, that you're choosing to go about that. Obviously, there's always extenuating circumstances like, hey, this person's not getting back to me. I have an opportunity here. I don't think it's the end of the world to look into that, but you would be kidding yourself to think that from an intention or an excitement or maybe even a focal standpoint, there's going to be a sacrifice. There's going to be detriment because you're still kind of invested in this loop that hasn't been closed. So I think you're thinking about it the right way.
Yeah.
And I guess really that's going to wrap up 2025. I would love to spend the rest of this episode looking back. And I know that you have the numbers because I don't know that everyone realizes how many likes you've gotten on Hinge, how many dates you've been on, how many opportunities there were. So before we get into the more conceptual takeaways, which is, I think, going to be some of the most valuable things for people who have kept up since May, is, by the way, thank you guys so much. This was just a random idea that Joel's idea brain got hit with this conceptual lightning bolt, and he came to me, and now here we are, and it's one of the best things we've done all year. And so many people, I forget to talk about this, and you keep bringing this up. So many people have benefited from you sharing and me walking you through this. Like, for those of you who started listening and now are back on Hinge, or in relationships that you're happy with, or have revamped your current relationship because there's some takeaways from this, thank you for watching, and good for you for doing something about it, because a lot of people want it and they critique us, but they're not willing to take the action. So you guys are the best out there. Thank you for making this possible, and for getting value of what we spend our time doing, because it truly is a pleasure. But I think you all will get a ton out of reflecting back on what's happened in the last 7-8 months with us. But before we do that, let's look at the data, and then we'll look at the conceptual takeaways.
Yeah. So I was tracking from the beginning. This is the business side of me, of being able to go, okay, what's the amount of time that I'm investing, as we've talked about before in kind of a business sense, inbound, outbound, right? Am I going to try to generate more leads, or are leads coming to me, like so on and so forth? And that's not to downplay dating or put a number on people. It's being able to go, what is my time and my resources here? And throughout the year, when did we start in?
I thought it was May, but I don't know.
April.
It was April.
End of April.
8 months, baby.
Yeah. Wow. End of April. So out of the total likes, it was 300. I don't have this exact number, but it's about 370 inbound likes.
So 370 women after, because this is what we did in the first couple episodes. We got Joel on Hinge. I took him through what I'd take my clients through, and we revamped his profile, and then he blew up. And you were traveling, and you got some inbound likes as well. So 370, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So you weren't on every day of the year, but you averaged slightly more than one like a day inbound, which is so rare for guys. Had you been on Hinge every day of the year, which you weren't.
Right.
And you even deactivated it at one point too.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing stats to have inbound for guys.
Yes.
That's very atypical. I hear from guys all the time that they'll go for months without getting an inbound like.
Yeah.
Now, the caveat is, because men typically should be going out and initiating, inbound likes are not always the kind of woman that you would be interested in. They're women that see a lot of value in you, and they're like, hey, I want that. Hey, I want that. Look at me. Mm-hmm. And that's not always the energy that we're looking for. Sometimes it is, but not always. So what's the next step?
The next step was, you have the Hinge profile itself, right? So you have your pictures, and then you have your prompts. And by far, the most amount of likes on my Hinge was my prompts. Pictures, there was a couple pictures where, like, me presenting a picture where I'm like, yeah, it's like me showing me in my masculine and my element. I think that got a total of, let me see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 total likes out of the 300 and some odd photos. Yeah. 9 likes. Now, that was a farther picture away, right? And there's different pieces and parts of that's really interesting to me. I did switch out some of my pictures throughout the time. One of the biggest pictures, or the picture that was liked the most, was the forward-facing big smile. Mm-hmm. And that, by far, out of all of the pictures, from forward-facing big smile, they love that.
And that's the first one on your profile, right?
That's the first one on my profile.
And in fact, just yesterday, whoever the dating scientist is for Hinge was coming out and saying, like, that's their number one recommendation for men. And they're literally looking at all the statistics behind the scene. Yeah. That's also the first thing I suggest any man do. And it can't be a selfie. It's got to be an authentic smile. It's got to be somewhat candid, or like a portrait where someone's taking, a photo. And that's what women love to see. But I'm curious, your prompt. So you had way more likes for your prompts, is what you're saying. Way more. So that's typical, because women like, oh, Joel's attractive, his photos look good, I like it, whatever. Now what's the layer deeper? Yep. The other way around, typically guys will react to a girl's photo and they won't even say anything.
Correct.
And so girls dislike that. So with women, if you're a man and you see a woman you really like, don't like her photo. Go to her prompt and genuinely figure out if you might like her personality as well. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. And respond to their prompt in a way that is authentically you, but starts a conversation. And I'm not saying that in order to fish, you need to be a fish, but think about a successful fisherman does think about how a fish sees the bait.
That's
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really interesting. What's the next stat?
Out of the prompts, the one that was liked the most was me talking about praying. So, I'm trying to remember the exact prompt, but it was a very specific prompt about who I am and my faith. And that by far got the most amount of likes as well, because that was the one that I went, okay, this is either going to pull people in or press people out.
Yep.
And for the ones that pulled in, it was that's what I'm looking for, hand raised, liked right there.
And that's one of the biggest takeaways, I think, from Wife or Bust is you would think by getting so specific, you disqualify more people, but you actually cause people to raise the hand and say, actually, I identify with that. And it's just the same in business, right? Like if you don't have a niche, you serve no one. If you dilute your message, you serve no one.
That's right.
And it's the same in dating and making any kind of choice. If you go so broad, what mark do you have to hit? What sense of precision is in that? Do you have any other stats, whether in real life or on Hinge for us?
Yeah, the last thing I would say is that the roses I sent. So we talked about the strategy of being able to send roses, and overall throughout the year, it was about 50 roses throughout from April to this month.
Which means because you bought 50 at one time, so because a lot of people give pushback on like, why would I purchase the Hinge X? Why would I buy roses? It's like those two things together are less than one dinner date, and it will set you apart. And if you're dating, trying to find the right woman, she's going to have other suitors. So you need to go top of the pile. You need to give her a rose, and the rose holds you accountable because you're not just going to hand out more than 50 roses in a certain amount of months.
Yeah.
So you used every single one of them. Did you find value in purchasing the roses and getting some matches back from the girls that you sent roses to, or not?
What I loved the most was that I had to think about who I was going to like. And there was a point where I was like, I wasn't using the rose. And I started seeing what I was getting back. And it was, I believe, me just being like, gosh, I just want to hit, like, golly, can I get anybody? But do I really want to use my rose on this? I just want to start a conversation, which then led me to, oh, dang. They did respond back to me, and now there's 6 or 7 other, women who I'm trying to talk to, and I'm like, oh wow, this feels overwhelming. And so it's definitely a strategy moving forward with Hinge in this next year. My take back on this, or my look back, is to be able to do what I did at the end, which was, hey, I'm gonna turn it on. There's gonna be some inbounds. I'm gonna have some outbounds. It's gonna get to a certain point where I go, oh, okay, I have 3 or 4 conversations going on. I'm going to pause the account so there's no more inbounds. I clear out any of my inbounds, and I'm only focusing on these conversations and not searching or going after any outbounds as well.
Yeah.
So if for me, again, it's being able to focus my energy and resource into who I'm talking to that at the current time, because what I found is that if I got into the app, I went, well, maybe there's some other, let me just peruse, right?
Yeah.
Start treating it like it was Instagram. And I didn't really get into the conversations because we've all been there with Instagram where you have 50 different, messages in your inbox, and you're just like, I could answer these, or I can just go to the next reel.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I found myself doing. I'm like, well, that's
dating doom scrolling, man.
100%, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And what I love about it is like, you can pause that. I wish you could do that on Instagram. You're like, no, I'm going to pause any like reels or Instagram going on. I'm just going to talk to the people that are in my inbox, because I'm sure at this point there's probably 50 or 100 people in my inbox right now on Instagram I just haven't responded to.
Yeah. And not everyone resonates with that. Like for sure, on average, women get inundated. It depends on where you live in these things. On Hinge, men have the opposite problem. I think it's because we've optimized your profile and you've done a lot of investment in yourself as a person, but also as a man.
Mm-hmm.
And not every guy has done that. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, well, I don't have messages on Instagram with people I'm talking to, whether that's romantic or otherwise, I don't have matches on Hinge, you probably haven't put in the effort, to be honest, as a man, or into your profile to properly represent who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you haven't done that, I'm here to help. Joel's here to help. let us know, because this is literally what we're doing.
That's it, man.
And then outside of Hinge, are there, well, let's talk about takeaways. And it doesn't have to be the top one, but for anyone listening, when we started, we had a specific vision, and as everything does, it evolves in the best of ways and in ways that you could never predict. What is one of the lessons you learned in the last 7 or 8 months about this process that you didn't see coming, that has been very valuable to you and that would be valuable to the people who've been with us, whether it's now or the whole time?
I'm gonna go a little backwards on this. I'm gonna talk about the one thing that I was most afraid of, and it was actually not as challenging as I thought it was going to be.
Really?
And the thing that I thought was to be most challenging was closing the loop. And honestly, using the strategies that you have talked about and are in the book, it really helped me to be able to create these different boundaries of like, okay, within the next 24 hours, make decision, close the loop. Being able to send a message back, do the double tap, right? And send 2 messages. These different techniques have really been helpful. But closing the loop, I thought was going to be so much harder. And let's not kid myself. It sucks closing the loop, right? Maybe some people are better at it. For me, it's really challenging. Yet I was able to close the loop live after being in Denver with her. I'm trying to remember her code name, and I was like, don't say her real name. And being able to do it live in the Austin airport and close the loop and be able to do that, and then be able to do it on audio message and text message, and the responses have been so beautiful. And it has taught me that closing the loop can be something that's not this terrible, tenacious thing, that it can be really beautiful and really respectful. And so that was something that I was really worried about, yet it got easier and easier.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that would be one of the things.
I have 2 quick thoughts, and these are both cliche expressions, but nothing could represent what you just said more. Ripping off the Band-Aid, right? People don't, I know it's a common expression, but you don't think about that when it comes to closing the loop, and that's exactly what you're doing. And the second one, I forgot. So we're going to move on.
We're going to move on.
It probably wasn't as good. It was redundant. What were you going to say?
To move back to your point, one of the things that surprised me over the last year was the process of building out my profile and taking it from where it was this ambiguous kind of like to
I want to appeal
right
to everybody,
right?
Yeah.
To going, nope, I'm going to be authentically me. I used the outline that you created, and it created this beautiful, like, no, that authentically is representing me. And then to see the numbers come back, again, as a business person, I'm like, then it works. Objectively, I know that this works. So now we're proving the concept of the book of, okay, not only are we doing this process with me, and there's, of course, different subjective things like what's going on with the IRL right now and so on and so forth, but there's really true and tried systems within the book that really do work, and I have the data to prove it.
Yeah.
And being able to go at the end of the year, there's 370 inbound likes. Yes, these prompts that I was very authentic with myself, that I was like, whoa, man, that's really like being straightforward with who I am, ended up being the most likes that I got.
Yeah.
And so that would be the thing that I would look back in this last year, and to anybody who's thinking about getting into dating in the new year. 1, get the book, read the book. 2, work with Chris, because obviously this has worked here. And 3, be you, be authentically you, because there's no other person on this planet unlike you. Like that, you are so unique,
and you're underselling yourself.
Underselling,
because that's really what like women and men look for. Is, do you have the courage to be who you are? Or are you going to be like everyone else? I hate to like hate on normies. That word. It's like none of us are normal. So you're just choosing to pretend or present that you are because there's fear about sharing your quirks. And the thing is, your quirks are someone else's green flags.
Yes.
Where you're particular is someone else's preference. And I think we often forget that. So in an attempt to not get rejected or to be safe, we dilute ourselves. And you're right. That's why being able to differentiate isn't winning a competition. It's organically finding who complements you. It's about finding your match.
I love that, man. I love that.
Yeah. When I was thinking about, from my perspective, because I'm not going through it, right? I'm in a relationship because I've learned this the hard way and applied the principles, and that's what I want for everyone, is to be in the right relationship. But it's like, what did I learn in getting to witness you go through
that's
this?
a really interesting question.
And because you write a book, you coach people, you work with people. I've had thousands of conversations to acquire these theories and these data and these opinions. And I love serving people. But what I realized that you showed me is this whole process, no matter who you are and no matter how much time you put into it, it's tough. So the first part is accepting all those cliches about running a marathon. It's just consistency.
Yeah.
You learn through failing forward. Action is the antidote to doubt. Searching for clarity, like we talked about. These things that everybody knows these truths to be true, but they forget to apply the fundamentals. And that's really all we're talking about in the book, is we're just saying, oh, everything gets disorienting, it gets crazy, you get burnt out, you wonder where your right person is, you have these desires, but you forget that it's actually very easy. You just have to be consistent. It's like with health. It's like with business. If for health, you can get into all the weeds, and I've that's what I used to do. I've been there. But when it comes down to whether or not you're progressing, it's like, are you doing the basics? Do you have a good bed and wake time? Are you getting in activity every week? Are you managing your stress? Are you eating nutrient-dense foods? That's 80% of the work.
Yeah.
Just like with you, are you telling the truth? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you putting effort into your profile, into dates? Are you leading with curiosity? Are you open to put in a little bit of time every day or every week or whatever? And I think that's what the most important thing is like, it's not rocket science. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about strategy as we will going into 2026, but always revisit the basics and they will always pay off for you. And because I'm as a professional and as someone who spent 3 years writing a book, I'm always looking for what's the next hack, what's the secret code. There isn't one.
Yeah.
And I know it seems like I'm discrediting myself. There's definitely minutia and nuance and expertise, but when you boil down the basics, they'll never fail you. And let that restore your faith in the dating world and humanity while we're at it going into 2026.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my final question before we wrap up.
That's right.
What does 2026 look like for Joel in dating?
Well, this is really interesting. This just popped in when you were talking. I was talking to my brother Ben the other night, and he is a top user of ChatGPT. And when we were talking, he instantly started going into doing research on ChatGPT of going like, well, how many women are in Austin? Out of those women, how many women of those are single? Out of those single women, how many are 25 to 38 years old? Out of those women who are 25 to 38 years old, what women are deemed, Christian? And like basically niched it all the way down. So there's basically 40 to 50,000 women in Austin who are single right now who fit that bill. This is ChatGPT, and these are could be higher, could be lower, who knows what.
Yeah.
Yet, if there's 50,000 women in Austin, that's a lot of women, single, in the age range, fitness oriented, like
Core alignment.
Yeah. So I started going, well, I moved here for a reason. That this was going to be the best possible place, one of the best possible places. Who knows? I'm gonna find my wife in a podunk town in Virginia. Who knows? And I thought to myself, you know what I really don't want to do? I mean, really, closing the loop, that, I don't like that. Yet, what is even scarier? In real life interactions. Somebody I don't know, somebody I didn't know at the gym, someone being able to go to Mozart's, be able to walk up to somebody and be able to engage in conversation. That terrifies me. And I'm a like public speaker, and I coach everybody every day and go through the deepest, darkest traumas you could possibly imagine.
But that's different because that environment is familiar and secure, and you're
100%.
also that's your area of expertise.
That's right.
You're not in the wild,
Oh,
you know.
so the commitment rolling into 2026 is recognizing and realizing that there's 50,000 plus women out there, and I just need to go out into the wild.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to make that commitment moving into the new year of how do I do this, which is something that like I'm curious in terms of your take. And I'm like, I've brought it up with ChatGPT, like, wait, how do you like just come up and like,
Yeah.
am I like totally straightforward and be like, so I run a show called Wife or Bust.
Would you like to
Yeah.
be talked about, but your name not be used?
Yeah. Can you sign this form for me real quick? Um, you know, or just like, kind of wish-washing. How do I know that they're married, not married, single, not single? Like, of course, these are all like the control factors in my head, right? That I'm like, no, I want more information. I want more information. And you just got to ask, and you're going to get shut down. And they're going to say, no, that's my boyfriend actually sitting right over there. Ooh, damn. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. No offense there. Right. Or, oh no, I am married, or I'm just getting divorced, or
what
not
happened
interested.
to me that's actually in the book is a day before her wedding, I approached a woman for the first time in a long time in public. I completely missed the fact that she had an engagement ring on her finger. I love this for so many reasons because we've talked a lot about first dates and about getting to the first date and how to set up Hinge and discernment and stuff, but we haven't talked about the other biggest input, which is I like to call in the wild. And there is a section of that. It's in principle 3 in the book. And I really would love to dissect that with you. But in order to do that, we got to start getting some stories and some anecdata. So I'm thrilled that that's what you want to experiment
I'm
with
glad you are.
in 2026. Because look, the apps are great, but not every woman that might fit what you're looking for is on the apps. Or maybe she wasn't, she's off of it now, who knows? And it's a great tool to cast a wide net. I always like to say a shotgun blast at a precision target at range. It takes a lot of shots, but eventually a pellet will hit. And it's a great tool to maybe find someone who you might not otherwise. That's how I found Mallory almost a year ago now. And we're both convinced we might never have met had I not used Hinge, had she not been on Hinge. On the other hand, there are women that aren't on Hinge or you might not meet otherwise. So it's good to do both or one at a time or whatever.
That's right.
So I'm really glad that, because I wouldn't have suggested that per se because I'm so fixated on what we're doing, but I'm glad that you had that because I think that's a whole field of topics we haven't even begun to cover on the show.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. So into the real life. And, my brother been mentioned, he's like, hey, you got to have that CTA at the end of the episode too, which is, hey, if you have anybody out there who's single throughout the country or the world that you believe would be a great fit, let us know.
Yeah.
Put it into the YouTube channel, reach out to Chris what's your email address? Can we put that out there?
You can email, you can reach out on YouTube or Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly my email. I say that for one-on-one clients. But
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But it's a great CTA. Yeah. If you know an eligible bachelorette that would
That's the
love
one.
the shit out of Joel, then let us know. Also, from the business side for me, I host a limited number of free one-on-one calls every week where whether it's Hinge, basically I do what Joel and I are doing, but it's just you and me. So if you want feedback on your Hinge, you want to learn about the principles in the book, you want to dissect a date that you went on, it didn't go well, let me know. Because now that the book is out, I have more time. And so I'm devoting 3 to 4 hours a week with connecting with people, especially if you watched Wife or Bus. I want to hear from you. And man, just thank you for 2025. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Joel, for having the courage to share your experiences. And 2026 is going to hold a lot more nuggets.
That's it, guys. Thanks
All right.
for watching. We'll see you next year.
It's a wrap.
Love you, dude. Oh, I'm so excited for next year.
Dude, we're getting better and better. These
Yeah.
fuckers don't even know.
I'm just slinging.
You just sling them. Dude,
It's a great book.
it's
I've
great.
heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't